Ask the GM's Podcast, Episode 12, How to Become a Better Role Player. This is Zach, and welcome to Ask the GM's Podcast. I've been a game master and board gamer for years, and I want to welcome you to a fun podcast. Handing it off to Lindsay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay. I am a big fan of the TTRPG. I've been playing them for about 5 or 6 years now, and I'm happy to be here with everybody. I'm going to pass it over to Ian.
Hello, everyone. Ian Harper here, and I've been playing games since they invented Dust. This is going to be a good episode because very excited to share some tips with everybody. It's going to be good. Let's pass it off to RC.
Hey everybody, I'm RC. I'm the semi-retired forever GM. And I'm just happy to be a player and be around now. I'm gonna pass it off to Rob.
Well, hey, I'm Rob, and I'm also here sometimes. And I'd like to shout out a few people while we're here. Shout out to Cape Fear Games and the Sideboard Cafe where we typically play. Also gonna throw a shout out to one of our listeners, Jeremy, for suggesting today's topic. So Jeremy, this one is for you. And sending it back over to Zach.
Thank you. Clearly not Pat Rob. You're greatly welcome.
It can get confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
We would be doing the Aliens RPG, but Brian's in Vegas, so we're going to take a quick break and switch to a fan-requested episode. So the big goal this evening is, how to start becoming a better role player. No one starts with a mastery of these skills. There's a variety of them. We're each going to read one off and then kind of talk about the pros and cons of each, give our own perspectives. My starter one is be here in both mind and body. Be at the table, be open, be listening.
I completely agree with this. This Zach, to me, is probably the foundation of role-playing. This is how you know what's going on. Have to process what's being told to you, and the things, the reactions from the other players are going to affect what you do. So yeah, this is key. This is I would call it foundational.
Precisely. I mean, you can't build anything if you have no idea what's going on. You can't help build on anything. It's like you said. I think that yes, it is the foundation of what you're building together.
And just from popping into this group 6 or 7 months ago, you guys have really reinforced that right from the get-go, because you don't want to miss small details like who wants to catch this as a check versus
That example will come back up in the future, but yes.
But yeah, just pay attention. It's collective storytelling. We're all here to tell a story together. Sure, the GM or the game master, the storyteller, whoever is running everything, but you're still here to put your part in.
And Rob.
Oh, sorry about that. I wasn't here in both body and mind. Yuck. No, okay, never mind.
That was good, dude. Trust me. That I was laughing, but my mic was muted.
Because if you don't, that'll happen.
Well, thank you, Robin. Do you want to lead the next topic?
Yeah, I'll do the next one. So this one, how to be a better role player. The best thing I can think of is not being afraid to try things. It kind of goes hand in hand with the one we just talked about, like being present and participating. But I don't know if it's either me or Brian, the newest person to tabletop RPGs in our little group. But I'm pretty new, and Zach will tell you I don't always know how everything works. I'm catching on by this point, but I've still had fun by just kind of like taking a whack at it and not being afraid to jump in and try stuff out. Especially if you have a good group like this one, people will tell you if you do something that's like not allowed or a faux pas or whatever, and they'll course correct you. But just not being afraid to participate is my little golden rule.
And Lindsay, did you want to follow up on that?
I think I also wanted to add to it, maybe. I think it's important to not be afraid to put yourself out there, and I think it's just as important at the table to be a person who makes it a comfortable place where you can put yourself out there. I think those go hand in hand, but definitely I agree with Rob on that one. and it can be hard. And trust me, I know it can be hard. There's a lot of trust that goes into this to do this, because you're really putting yourself out there and doing something that most people don't ever really do anything like this. And so, and you're creating something together. So you're putting a lot of yourself into something. So there's a lot of trust that's has to be at the table.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the issue of trust when you're trying new things, because you have to trust that you're not going to be judged on the crazy thing that you just thought that, oh, I'm going to try this out. I'm obviously the type of player that does not fear trying new things at the table. You just have to do it, and you just have to go with it. I wish I had better advice beyond that. It's almost, to me, it's almost an entertainment factor. Is I want people to get a kick out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ian, I feel you on that one. I feel like that's the guiding factor of most of the decisions that I make is, what's gonna get a laugh or be entertaining or, be engaging. So I feel you on that one.
And RC.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes back to the whole fact that this is a story that you guys are all making together. You're totally welcome to push the boundaries. Like, within the last year, some of the most memorable stories that I've had with this group have been some of the crazy things that Ian has done as a player. Where out of the blue, it's like, nope, he's gone completely off the deep end, and now this is how the rest of the story is going to play out. We're all going to work with this, and don't be afraid to play along with it or to add your own little thing to it, because people will go along with you whenever you start doing really wacky stuff.
I just love the fact that you go along with it. That's what I like.
That's just always going to stick with me. You dragging Jesse into hell, like nothing. That whole game was just one session, and it was like you ramped it up to 11, and I loved it the whole time.
Well, it's just Call of Cthulhu is easy because, like, when your sanity goes all the way into the toilet, it's just you have to have fun with it. You just have to. It's just, why not?
RC, and a similar example on Tuesday's game when Sean was asking to push a roll and how he failed, and the fact that we were all like, it's up to you to describe how you're pushing and how you failed. We're willing to go with you.
Yeah, no, that was how I started to see it after like we had gone through it a couple times, because I think our group's kind of been terrified of pushing rolls, and this just Call of Cthulhu mechanics thing where you can roll again. It's just if you fail this time, it's really bad.
RC, that's funny because you guys have no problems pushing rolls in my game.
I am not afraid to anymore, Ian. But what it ultimately comes down to is, like, we're all going to be here. We're going to listen to what crazy thing that you've done to push this roll. Are you pushing a climb check, climbing up a slippery ladder? That's not a big deal. It's like, oh no, the rung broke on me, so I'm just going to catch the next rung with my other foot. If you fail that one, that rung breaks too, and you fall the rest of the way back down. We'll just go with however you choose to describe how you're pushing said roll.
Or, set someone on fire with your telekinetic ability. Oops.
Whoops.
I mean, Ian warned me. I did anyway.
No, well, actually, as the keeper, that's part of my duty. When you push a roll, I have to warn you that it could be bad.
You were like, have you ever seen Firestarter? And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was kind of a spoiler alert, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What is your opinion of the movie The Mist? Okay then. Ian, would you like to lead the next topic?
Yeah, I like Brian's point number 2 here, except that everyone role plays differently. This is very important to me because I'm very big on diversity, not just in role playing, but in just social, life as well, or in any aspect of life. I'm a big fan of diversity, which I think everyone knows. So you have to be at the table and expect that people are going to approach the game and the scenario and the task at hand, whatever it is, they're going to approach it in a different way than you might. And instead of trying to fight that, why don't you just go with it and see what they're going to come up with? Because um, there's been several times, I'm just going to say from a keeper's perspective, there's been several times that this group has completely upended what I wanted to do with a story. And I like this better. I like where the group took it way better. So the point I'm trying to make is just go with it. Somebody's gonna do something crazy, and you can play off of that. And introducing that diversity really promotes that. So I like this point that Brian made here.
Yeah, I'm glad we brought this one up, and since Brian's not here, I'll share a Brian story that he and I have discussed. He and I were playing a game one time. I forget like the context of the game, but I remember this story. He was playing as a dwarf or some other like made up mythical being, and he did an accent with it, which wasn't the accent that fits it. Another player at the table said that they were like, "Oh, that's not what dwarves sound like." And he and I both had the same thought. We talked about it later, and just sitting there thinking like, "Oh, the completely made up mythical creature that isn't real sounds different than this." Like, just roll with it. Everybody's gonna play it a little different. Doesn't have to match what you saw in the Lord of the Rings movie or something like that. It's all fine.
Yeah, I actually specifically remember this character. It's Edinar, his high elf that sounded like a Rooski, and it was like that's
Oh
not
yeah,
a
that
big
was an
deal.
elf.
And see, I think that's a great choice. I love that.
I don't see
love it. And
I don't see anything wrong with that.
And I think that goes back to the point of you need to try to be a person who you have to try to be supportive at the table. That's huge. Because things like that happen. Unfortunately, like I was thinking about this earlier, and I thought about Brian had told me about that as well. And like I said, it's really important to also be the kind of supportive person that that will make others feel like their ideas are welcome. And I feel like that plays into it too.
I also think a big part of it is like that's your signature as a role player. That's you. It's your acting style. It's what you bring to the table. I know personally, I'm a little more direct as a role player. I'm very goal oriented. That's just me from being a DM. But at least I set fun things up. Like Ian, I guarantee there's plenty of times you're like, I don't know where this is going, but it sounds awesome.
Oh yeah,
because I have like a goal set in mind.
well, and I don't 9 times out of 10 I don't know what that goal is, but back to what we were talking about, I just go with it. I let him do it because it's going to be good. It's going to be something that we can work with, and I call it storytelling fuel, and you guys just dump it all over the table.
RC, do you want to lead the next topic?
Yeah, I guess we'll go into this one. Expect failure, plan on it, live with it. You get really great stories out of failing, especially in RPGs. There are so many times when it's like, I'm gonna die, guys. And it's like, I'm at least gonna help everybody else escape. That is my favorite story to start this with. It's like the sacrificial hero. That's failure. But it's failure in a way that lets everyone else live.
So RC, that's a great point, because the story that you guys like so much about me dragging the other player into hell, that started with a critical failure. Zach, if you remember, it was a critical spot hidden failure in the office, and isn't that how my character got possessed?
Yeah, you had a revelation and it went really far into sanity.
But it started out as it was 100. I rolled a 100. Like that was, and to me, that was not a failure. That was a story success. So I don't look at dice failure as failure, if that makes any sense.
I promise you, as a role player, if you design every like future action that you want to attempt, cool or not, if you design that to fail, you're going to be a better role player. If it succeeds, bonus. Prepare for whatever you want to do to fail, and you'll be prepared to act it out better. I promise you.
Like, it's just, it's not a game. When you're sitting at the table with everyone, you're telling a story together. It's not a game you're trying to win. And that failure is going to happen. And if you plan for it, like you said, you'll be able to better build upon it and then build a better story. I mean, great stories don't come from and everybody succeeded every time and now it's done, yay. Like that's just not how it works.
Yeah, my go-to rebuttal to when people are acting that way, I'm like, if you want to write a story, go home and write a story. That's not what we're doing here. It's the collective storytelling, or we're doing something together. And we're not just trying to sit here and make everything go exactly the way you planned it. That's boring.
Yep.
And Lindsay, would you like to lead the next topic?
Sure, absolutely. This is something that I think I even struggle with still, is to, and it can be kind of nerve-wracking, especially in the beginning, but when your turn comes around, try to take your time and don't feel rushed. Sometimes I feel rushed and I think I get a little anxious. I think I still struggle with that, but just take a deep breath and take your time. Go over everything in your head. What kind of situation are we in? Take a look, just try to, always have your sheet with you. I even like to have some other thing, like if I have certain abilities outside, I have them written down on a separate sheet or card. But
It says,
take your
"Woman, you
time.
got mind powers. Use them."
Exactly. So we're currently playing a game of Pulp Cthulhu with Ian, and my character has telekinetic ability, and I always forget that she has it. I just forget, and people are like, "Bitch, you got mind powers. Use them." I'm like, "Oh, he's too heavy. I can't lift." They're like, "You have mind powers." So I wrote a note. Well, Zach actually wrote it. This said, "Bitch, you got fucking mind powers," and I put it in my dice tray.
And to
So,
be fair, that game you used telekinesis more in that single scenario than you did in any of the past ones.
Exactly. Sometimes you just you get flustered and you forget certain things that you have available to you.
Dude, Lindsay,
So,
the car door.
yeah, definitely take a breath. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, dude, the car door telekinesis scene was clutch. That was clutch.
Yeah, that was fun.
I also have to agree, as a game master, I always feel like I'm rushing through a scene because I want to make sure everyone's getting their time and getting everything they need. So I feel like I'm rushing so I can turn the focus back on the players. But like, everyone be aware, your time's your time. Like, take it as you need it. And you'll be aware if you're taking way more than you need. Not a little more than you need, way more than you need, but like, just take your time, think your options, like breathe in and out, and like, you'll know what you want to do, and then you can pass. Like, it doesn't have to sit on you the whole session.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that whole judgment piece of I'm afraid that I'm going to get judged by the players at the table if I try this. I like your guys' recommendation of just taking a deep breath and just out with it. Just let it out. What do you want to do? Nobody's going to judge you because I guarantee you everybody at the table has said something just as kooky or just as wacky as what you're about to say. Remember, you know what? I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to quote a Stoic philosopher, Seneca the Younger. The worst things that ever happened to me in my imagination. They didn't happen in real life. So just try it. Just if you've got an idea, just out with it.
And if it's something, if you say, okay, this is what if you're not sure and it's really weighing on you, that's what your DM is for. You look at your DM, you say, okay, this is the thing that I'm thinking about doing. And your DM will walk you through it or say, that's not something that's going to work. or yes, I will work with you on it. Let's do it.
And Lindsay, to that point, and Zach can back me up on this. There's plenty of times I've pulled Zach aside and said, what do you think about me trying this or that? I totally love when a player pulls me aside and says, I have this really weird idea. What do you think about this? Like, that's awesome. Do it. I'll be upfront with you.
Okay, and my next topic is more of from the Boy Scout angle. Hey, bring plenty of pencils, bring plenty of dice. If you have an extra sheet, I promise someone will buy you a candy bar or a soda. Just be prepared.
That's legit. Yeah, especially if you bring extra pencils, you've definitely got snacks coming your way.
Rob, do you want to lead the next topic?
So I've actually run out of topics, and I can't see the list. But if anybody wants to feed me one, I'd be happy to comment on it.
How about be open to openness?
Yeah, okay. I like that. So I did a bunch of theater stuff, coming up through school. So what I always keep coming back to when we're role playing, and it kind of feeds into not being afraid to just try stuff, is always yes and. So even if somebody takes something and dives off in another direction other than where you were going, it's going to be more fun if you just roll with it, see where it goes. Usually you can loop it back to what you were trying to do as well if you really want to do that. But nothing makes it more awkward than if Ian goes off in one direction and then I just talk over him and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to do this. Just be open to taking things where they go.
You know what, Rob? You've used that comment a couple of times, the yes and comment. There's a role playing book that I bought for my 6-year-old son. My wife and I found it. It's called Adventure Tales, and part of the first chapter of the book talks about when you're setting up a story for your child. Don't ever say no to something that they want to try. I'll always say yes and try to expand on it. Don't ever try to put a wall in front of them and say, no, that's out of bounds. See where their imagination is going to go. So I really like this particular topic here. I completely agree with it.
Yep. The classic tenet of improv and is yes and this is really what you're doing. I mean, it's long form improv storytelling, and that's always the best way to go. Because nothing will kill something deader than not yes-anding.
Okay, Ian, would you like to lead the next topic?
Again, I'm gonna go off of Brian's list here of getting out of your comfort zone. His one of his points here, and it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, but just getting out of the comfort zone is not just role playing comfort. Also, think about different character concepts and try to play a concept that you wouldn't normally be drawn to. So you'll see this a lot with D&D. You'll see a lot of people play a paladin over and over again, or a wizard over and over again, or they just kind of have the same character concept over and over again. It's really good to kind of something I like to do is I like to put about 6 or 7 or 8 character concepts on a little piece of paper and pull one out of a hat. Just that's the one I'm going to do. Just make it random. Just have fun with it. Don't be serious about it. It's just a game, and it's here to see how far you can stretch your imagination and your ability to critically think.
One of my favorite one-shots role-playing was one that I was in with Zach, and I literally didn't really know what to do. We were playing Call of Cthulhu, and I said, Zach, you pick what you pick what I play. And Zach ended up just rolling, and I had the best time. And that was one of the most fun. It was freeing and fun. And so some you just gotta if you feel like maybe you're stuck in that rut, just roll a character and see what happens.
Yeah, occasionally I'll roll some character concepts, either I'm going to use as an NPC or a full character. The one I'm excited to play next is a woman that has clairvoyance, and she's just a heartless bitch that runs a stock empire. Like she's like just pure capitalism. And I've never really played a woman before, so I'm kind of excited.
I'm so excited. That's so cool.
RC, do you want to lead the next topic?
And we're starting to get down into the nitty gritty here, where we're starting to pull back on other things. But learn from other people at the table, please. Good players will show you what skills you should incorporate, like the yes and, or if they have some weird knack of doing things that you just want to start pick up on doing, pick it up, try it, give it a go, and you'll learn what it's really just basic socializing. You'll learn what other people just outright despise you doing at the table.
RC, you're absolutely right. If you're doing something that is not cool, if you've got the social wherewithal to read the table, it'll be pretty obvious that you went too far or you did something that was maybe out of bounds.
And the hope is that we would tell you, regardless, is that the players that tell you be like, "Whoa, man, we're starting to drift into somewhere I don't want to be." And that's probably a tip for both GMs and players. If somebody says that we're drifting somewhere we don't want to be, it's probably good for everybody at the table to take note of that and be like, okay, we won't go there again.
Yeah, absolutely. Just speak up. There's no judgment, because there's definitely topics that can come up in games like Vampire the Masquerade and Call of Cthulhu. There's definitely some uncomfortable topics that could come up. So you have to be open and honest and transparent about it.
Yeah, and this may be leaning into this is leaning into like future games that we've talked about running. I think Zach has a Call of Cthulhu game that takes place during the Reich Mark. Like, that was a really weird time in human history where the debauchery and like true despicable nature of humanity was starting to come out. And it's
you have to be an adult.
And you have to have a group of people that you're like, okay, are we comfortable with talking about the topics that are going to come up during this?
Additionally, on top of that, it's also knowing that, hey, in addition to incorporating everything around you from good players and every other players, you can also set other players up. It happened Tuesday. Our player Sean set up Nate to be a better sniper by scouting out a belfry. He has no bonus for like belfries. He is a close combat character, but he still scouted up there for another character. Like, he did the groundwork. Lindsay, do you want to take the next topic?
Sure, absolutely. I think another important one, especially if you're new and starting out, is don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that that's terrifying in all aspects of life, and I'm someone who will try to do everything in her power to not have to ask someone a question, but it's really, especially in this environment, it's kind of a detriment because the DM is there for you and your fellow players are there for you. So if you have a question, absolutely ask because they would be happy to help. So if you ever feel unsure or you have a question about an ability or something that you're just not sure of, always ask because people will definitely help you out. Everyone starts brand new.
Yeah, unless the DM has like a Gary Gygax costume on and you're playing Tomb of Horrors, don't be afraid to ask questions. Everyone at the table is there to help you, whether that's them handing you some dice or remembering, hey, you get a +2 to that, or hey, remember you have 75 in that skill.
Oh, hey, you have sneak attack, things like that. Oh, hey, you have telekinetic powers. Remember
that.
Remember, woman?
Yes. Speaking of that happens a lot. Is I see you guys remind each other about the opportunity for bonus dice when you're making rolls. You guys will remind each other that you get some kind of bonus dice for that.
Yep. Help someone else out. The game master, in theory, is expected to know all the rules. They don't. I promise you they don't. I look up the Call of Cthulhu sanity rules every time. That book is massive. Everyone at the table is there to remember most of the rules, and maybe a handful of players will remember one section more than the others. The goal is everyone at the table knows the rules. And the game master's job is to just adjudicate any discrepancies or arguments or just discrepancies in conversations about the rules. The goal is just to get the story moving as quickly and efficiently as possible. For my next topic, it's a big one. I deal with it at work, but a lot of people just can deal with it in all parts of their life. Engage in active listening. Fully listen to your environment, to your fellow players, what the game master is actually telling you. RC mentioned it earlier. We were playing Warhammer Fantasy, and a Plague Priest of Nurgle, by the way, super bad, came by on a flying disease monster and threw a plague skull at everyone. And the check was roll to catch this. And every other player started rolling dice to like catch that thing. And RC's like, wait a second. I don't want to catch this at all. And put his dice down.
And yeah, it was a good tipping point for the kind of games that I was gonna get in with this group is, oh, did I actually want to do that? No, I'm good. You sure you want to make that spot hidden check? No, I'm good.
I think that's we talked about that before when we were introducing new players into Call of Cthulhu, that there's some roles that you actually don't want to succeed.
Yeah, it costs you your sanity, and just, generally sometimes it's better just not to roll. Even if I tell you there is a check for it, doesn't mean you have to roll.
You can always choose to fail. Now, Rob, I have a topic for you. Don't feel confined by the plot or what's presented in front of you. Don't be afraid to think around corners.
Yeah, I think this is another one that just kind of falls back into the same category of, just kind of just boils down to just roll with it. It's the DM's job to get us to the main story points. They'll steer you there. So even if it feels like they're pushing you in one direction, if you've got something you want to try, or you got, you don't want to derail the story, there's kind of a line to walk there, but don't be afraid to basically just kind of roll with it. If you have an idea, go for it. It'll fit or it won't. If it fits, great. Everybody will have fun. If it doesn't fit, the story will write itself. You're not gonna ruin anything.
Rob, I think that's a really good point. Is just for new players to keep in mind, no matter what you do at the table, nobody's gonna. It's not the end of the world. It's nobody's gonna die. Nobody's life is on the line. The story is not gonna come to a grinding halt. That's not gonna happen.
You can't break it.
Exactly. Thank you. That you can't break it. It can go in an infinite number of directions.
I mean, I have definitely seen some derailing, but it was some pretty harsh derailing.
Right. At some point it becomes almost intentional, and I'm not saying that's what happened in your circumstance, but at some point you almost have to be trying to derail it if it's that out of bounds.
If I'm remembering the event you're talking about, yeah, that was borderline intentional, and that's it's in their topic list. But knowing when you're pushing the boundaries of, hey, this will end the game for everyone else. This isn't another thing. This isn't a thing that I want to do because I already have things planned for you guys. Puts a bunch of work that I already have ready down the drain. Work with your GM. He is also a part of the story. He or she is also a part of the story, regardless of what's going on.
And Lindsay, would you like to do the next topic?
Let's see. Trying to think of what we haven't covered. One moment.
How about don't expect cool things to happen for your character unless you set them up?
Right. I think that's something to remember, that you can't expect, the DM to hand you cool moments, or it's something that you actively have to think about. And that goes also into, understanding what your character can do. And so, yeah, I mean, it's something that if you want, it's all about it as far as what your character is going to do. If you want something cool to happen, it's something that you have to work on yourself. And like I said, if you have a super cool idea and it's something that you want to set up, and it all comes back to having, reaching out to, if you're unsure or if anything like that feels weird, or if you're unsure, definitely ask someone at the table or the DM about your idea or how you would want to go about doing that. If you have a huge idea of something that you would like to do, definitely talk to your DM about it. But don't expect, cool moments to just, if that's what you want, you have to try to work on it yourself.
Yeah, I like to see something I see a lot of players do. I've seen a lot of players do throughout my history of role playing is they'll plant these seeds throughout the campaign. It doesn't matter what game it is, but you can tell that they're planting seeds for things to happen later on. Either they're making connections in a town before they leave to go to another place, and with anticipation of being back at that town. Maybe I've set up.
Your characters killed the same man 3 times.
Oh, that one hits home for Zach right there. Is he dead, Zach?
I mean, the 3rd time, yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, just plant some seeds and see what happens, especially if it's a game where you're doing a lot of traveling. You can always, plant those seeds in different towns, different parts of the place where you're going to be, and set up like a little network. I mean, even that can give the keeper or the DM or whatever game you're playing, it can give them some fuel to go with.
Yeah, if you can drop anything, even little things, that hopefully your DM can use later against you, it's always fun.
And let's face it, that's what it's going to be. They're going to use it against you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's the fun of it. They're going to hit you in the face like a baseball bat later. And that's the good thing. That's what makes it fun.
I'm sure Pat will mention the coffee table that attacked him multiple times, having babies and attacking him.
A coffee table had babies?
Yep, had many babies. One of them even bit a homeless man in half.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, they were spawning in his warehouse, his smuggling warehouse.
Was this Blackwater Creek?
Right before.
Okay, gotcha.
One thing I'll mention is say what you want and mean. It doesn't have to be in character in the game, but like if you're telling all the players or the DM like you want something or you want something for your character, say it in plain English. Like instantly resolves a lot of issues. Just say what you want.
I think that's a general life skill to learn that if you're really struggling with RPGs, are probably a good place to start with.
Yeah, like I said, just say it, and then just say, okay, if you're not sure, or you feel like you're dancing around it, just say it, and then this is what I'm trying to do. This is the idea I have, and then you can go from there.
Another one I would like to point out, even though it's a skill I don't super have very well, at least, don't be afraid to speak in character. I'm in fact awed every time I see someone do it. It's just something I need to master.
This is
My God, I love speaking in character.
Yeah, this is one I can say a lot about. I love this. I love this. Can't say enough good things about this. I encourage everyone to do it because why not? There's you can just have a whole good time with, and I just love doing different voices anyway. I just kind of like doing that in role playing too, in like normal life. But this is something that's very near and dear to me, especially the game that we're running right now. There are certain characters that I love to do their voice. Like when they're part of the scene, I'm very excited that I get to do their voice. And there's been certain PCs that I've had. There's been certain characters that I've had in some of Zach's games that I'm definitely excited that I get to do a voice. So this is something that you should definitely do. Makes it a lot more fun.
And leading into an expanded topic, we can cover how to be a better game master because we covered how to be a better role player. The first step of that is just prepare. Whether you're doing a module, whether you're doing your own thing, just prepare. Because your players are going to do whatever they're going to do. prepare what you can. That way you have the mental energy and the fortitude to adapt to whatever they're changing. I guarantee Ian in our recent pulp campaign has had to spin the wheels a whole bunch for the crazy crap I've came up with.
Oh, not just you, everybody. Everybody has upended everything, but that's okay because, like Zach said, if you're prepared, that's fine. Because you and actually, the trick to being prepared as a keeper is to not over prepare. You want to have some ideas and general concepts of what you want to do in your story, but you do not want to put down railroad tracks for the players to put a little card on and go right on down the track. That is not what we're doing. You have to be prepared to turn right and turn left. Zach's absolutely right. There's been plenty of times that I've had to change course, and changing course typically will lead, I'll say it's better than 50-50. It'll lead to something better down the road than you already had planned. I can almost guarantee it.
Like burying someone under a pier.
That's one example.
I can say from experience, Ian's right about the railroad tracks. No, you're piloting a riverboat, and maybe you missed a current like bend in the river. You'll just take the next one. As long as you get to about the right spot, you're fine. RC?
No, honestly, in the few games that I've run for you, I was very freeform. Anytime that it came up, it's like, well, this is here, but I'll work around whatever happens to happen. Like you self-immolating with moonshine. Sometimes you just have to deal with things like that.
Oh yeah, my super southern fighter who should have been a barbarian.
Oh man.
Lindsay, I know you haven't really run too many games, but what is your opinion of that concept of just preparing enough for what you need?
Yes, it's almost like you're preparing an outline almost in your head of, okay, this is where we are. This is where, just having a basic, like Ian said, basic ideas of where, a basic outline of what you want to happen as far as the story goes, but you can't plan for every. I know the first few times I tried to run anything, it's like you're trying to plan for every inevitability and you just can't. So the way that you have to do it is that you just have to have an idea, an outline of what you're doing, and have, and sometimes you have to swap things around. Like you had certain plans to have, okay, well, I have stats for these certain monsters that they were going to be over here, but you know what I could do? I could flip this around and move them here. And then sometimes you just have to do quick thinking like that. But if you're prepared in a way that you have an outline, you have, certain things around you that at your disposal have your tools. And then because you can't plan for everything, and you can't, like I said, like Ian said, railroad at all. It's just not gonna work as far as a game goes. But that's been my experience. Because the first few times I tried to run anything, I definitely fell into that over planning trap.
No, Lindsay, and that's totally fair, because if you try to actually plan for every contingency as a DM, a storyteller, a keeper, if you try to plan for every contingency, then you're going to stop having fun running the game. You're not going to have fun anymore because you've planned 50 different things for the players to do, and they're only going to do 5 of them because it's only possible for them to do 5 of them. So you feel like you've wasted your time.
It's like 25% planning, 75% improv.
That's pretty
close. I always call it the 80-20 rule because I'm a project manager at heart, but I always call it the 80-20. It's 20% planning, 80% improv. That's pretty close.
And Rob, how about your perspective as a player looking in?
It's kind of the same concept in reverse as I've been saying for the players. You just got to be ready to roll with it. I mean, you do want some things planned. You don't want to show up unprepared. But the players are going to improv it, so you got to be flexible and ready to improv it as well.
Yep, that's a perfect way to say it. And another follow-up to that is Knowing the rules, you are not expected to memorize a 500-page technical manual.
Absolutely not.
You are not expected to master it. You're not expected to know every spell. You're expected to know core concepts and how to quickly adjudicate something and get the story back on track.
They're a reference. You're not supposed to you can't. There's no way. There's no way.
They're more like guidelines.
Yeah, if you play this like a law book, if you play this like an ironclad like rules judge, you're gonna kill it for everybody. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be adaptive to. There's going to be things that you want to do as a keeper. Zach, RC, I'm sure you guys, this has happened to you. This has definitely happened to me in the past. There's been things I wanted to do that aren't in the bounds of the rules, so I just kind of make it work. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to break the rules.
Literally in the Tuesday game, I want to roll on these tables a whole bunch. We'll make a sanity roll. I don't care if you pass or fail. I'm rolling on the damn table. I don't care. That's what I'm doing. I'm having fun.
I'm
So
gonna make you
spoilers.
guys a heart attack.
So spoiler, RC. That's why everyone rolled on the table. I wanted to have fun with it. There are like 4 tables in that book.
Oh no, I figured.
My favorite story about a keeper bending the rules was Zach, that game that we played over Discord, and you started giving me sanity points for zippy one-liners.
Sold.
It's like every time I had like a good enough one-liner after we killed an enemy, Zach was like ... +1 sanity.
I mean, it's technically not a rule, but having the players recap the session and gaining luck, that saves me work. Sold. Steal it.
Yeah, anytime you can give players rewards for doing cool things, like Zach said, recapping is always a good thing because it kind of gives you that flashback so you can kind of get oriented to where we were. Oh yeah, where did we leave off? And giving players those little, just those little tidbits for cool things that spice up the game. That really encourages that engagement that we like to see.
Also, FYI for any players, and I guarantee you guys that on the GM side of things, whenever you guys give us a recap, it really tells us what you actually paid attention to and what's stuck in your brain.
It also gives us time to think of like how to refresh the important points they missed, whether we have to do that through play or say it ourselves.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Zach. That's a very good point. Very good point.
And Ian, you've mentioned it earlier, like about running it like it's a rules textbook rule, running it like a lawyer. No, it is not. It is a guide to have fun and approximation of rules. Your word is Lord. You are God. Go with it. If someone has an issue with it, we've already broken the game. Like we've already broken the bounds of the rules and moved on to something else.
Absolutely. And in fact, every role-playing system I've played in, and that's a lot. I can't even sit here and prattle them all off. And somewhere in that book, it tells you that there are no rules. It's somewhere in the beginning of it. Look at a D&D book, look at the DM's guide, look at the player's handbook, look at the keeper's handbook for Call of Cthulhu. Somewhere in there, it says there are no rules. So
or it says the goal is to have fun. Then often it says the keeper's word is the final say on anything, or the dungeon master's word is the final say on everything.
Because sometimes you'll throw something at the DM and it may not fit in the rules, but the DM will go, "Oh, that's fucking awesome," and we're gonna do it. Like you never, it's about fun.
Yeah, and the DM's not like lording that over you. It's his responsibility. Like this is not a fun thing. Like you're there to just make things go well. It's not like you're lording it over the players. I can kill you at any time. Like, well, why don't you? It's like, well, I want to have players.
No, and odds are no storyteller is trying to do that. And in fact, I'd say most storytellers are not trying to shackle you at all. They're trying to set up an environment to where you can make magic happen.
Lindsay, you got any good game master tips?
On my end, no, unfortunately. I gave about all I've got. I'm not as experienced in that area as you guys are.
Means use your telekinesis.
I know. God damn
It
it.
it works every time, man. Hey, the car door. The car door stop.
80% of the time, it works every time.
Dude, Dude, that thing's staying in my dice in my tray. It's staying right in there.
You're going to be playing something else. Oh, yeah, I got fucking mind powers.
So
We're playing bridge. Mind powers, woman.
Powers.
so that's what I'm waiting for next, Zach. Is I'm waiting for Catherine to flip a house over or something crazy like that.
Jesus.
Would you say 30 people could flip a house over?
Easily.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, you give them enough metal rods, they can definitely flip a house.
Oh, I can't wait to flip like a car or something. It's gonna be great.
So
So what we're saying is I need to like jump the Snake River Canyon and she'll just catch my car and rocket it into something.
Oh my God.
Ooh,
Oh my God.
maybe.
that sounds like a great way to start up the Mythos booster.
Let's go.
Or roll a new character, at least for me.
Hey, out of curiosity, if you critically fail flipping a house, do they just remodel the house?
Oh.
The 30 beds and
Whoa.
suddenly get rid of nothing.
Maybe the property value just goes up. They flipped it properly, it's got a new bathroom. Well, I want to thank all our listeners for joining us on our episode on how to be a better role player and how to be a better DM. Join us next week when we cover the Alien RPG as promised. And thank you for listening.